from people like you, Sylvia, who are sharing true, knowledge of events that happen in history happen in history and that also are affecting us today. And like Food of Love does that. It brings awareness to things that you went through, but also how we're still dealing with a lot of that. And the same with gender bias. You got educated, but it really wasn't normal for a woman in your station of life, was it?
Well, I think it's like you say, I think it's not just it's access to books, which is why I'm a huge believer in libraries and a campaigner for libraries. Because yes, my parents encouraged me to read, but they wouldn't have been able to afford to buy me books. But I have access to Luton Central Library, and there's the world, and that's where, mind you, of course, a different kind of world, as you say. I mean, I was only about 7, and I'd walk a mile and a half there and a mile and a half back on my own,
Yeah.
And in the library, I didn't have anyone telling me what to borrow. So, I mean, I'd be borrowing, Enid Blyton, but then I'd be taking out a book on China, you see. So,
Yeah.
and so suddenly the world opens to you. So I do get very angry when libraries don't cost much. They cost very little to run.
Well,
And
and it
I don't
opens.
think people realise the importance they are for upward mobility. For
Yeah.
kids who haven't got access to books, whose parents can't afford to buy them books, or parents who don't want to buy them books. Children are different. I don't know of any children who really learn to love reading, who learn to love reading on a screen. So access to, and there's so many wonderful books for kids, and
Yeah.
that's when they learn to read for pleasure. So
Yes.
I interviewed, I did this thing I used to write for the Oxford Times for 20 years. The 10 of them, I cast away really inspirational people on an island I invented called Oxtopia, and one of them was Michael Rose, and I don't know if he's known in Canada, but he wrote Going on a Bear Hunt, but all sorts of children's books. But he was our children's laureate for a while, and I interviewed him, and he said the evidence everywhere in the world, all cultures, is that children who read for pleasure are usually 3 years ahead academically by the time they get to 14.
Thanks so much for watching. And until next time, take care. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for subscribing or following, liking, and sharing the podcast.